Okay, go ahead.
Welcome. At this time, I would like to call the special meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Hall.
Present.
Police.
Present.
Pike.
Here.
Segura.
Present.
Tarantino.
Here.
Gianni. Here.
Will you please now stand, join me in a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Please put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so per Government Code Section 54954.3, this is the point on the agenda where the board will hear any public comments that have been submitted to the board on any item that has been described in the notice for the special meeting before or during consideration of that item. Madam Clerk, are there any comments to be read?
Yes, I have received comments from 16 people.
Okay.
The first comments are from Alex Picasso. Dr. Gianni and members of the board, my name is Alex Picasso. I've been an employee of the district for 16 years. The past 14, I have worked as teacher librarian. I'm a product of our district. I went to Castle Park Middle. Dr. Gianni was our AP at the time. I graduated from Castle Park High. I chose to return to my home district to give back to my community and empower students to reach their maximum potential. I have an analogy to share. At the end of the year, teachers engage in self-reflection. We ask ourselves what went well with our instructional program. What challenges did we experience? Self-reflection can be bittersweet when we realize the many missed opportunities we had. I could have taught this lesson differently. I could have spoken privately with each student. The list of ifs can be endless. Members of the board, you are at a crossroads at this moment. Library services are at peril if you vote to eliminate librarians across the district. The services that librarians provide empower students to make sense of the world around them. In the words of the great philosopher Paulo Freire, the teacher is of course an artist, but being an artist does not mean that he or she can make the profile, can shape the students. What an educator does in teaching is to make it possible for the students to become themselves. We teach students to become themselves by offering the education and access to the resources they need to shape their hearts and minds. Our libraries are an extension of the classroom. Our teaching and support make it possible for students to safely navigate the information world and interact with it in a richer manner. The number of students who learn more about themselves after reading a certain book or author are endless. All students deserve a fair and equal access to the resources and instructional support to maximize their potential. Don't let this opportunity you have to save library services be a missed opportunity. Your vote now will influence and shape the future of thousands of students in our district. We want to continue graduating students who are confident about themselves, their literacy skills, their research skills, and ready to compete with peers from more affluent communities. Put students first, save library services, put librarians back in libraries. You will not regret it. The next comments are from Crystal Scott. Good evening, Superintendent, board members. In Exhibit A, paragraph 37, attached to Resolution 4681, Administrative Law Judge Abraham Levy concludes that the district's plan to eliminate all librarians is in compliance with Education Code and relevant court decisions referenced in paragraph 36. The district is in compliance because, quote, as long as the district is not offering the same services performed by the terminated employees, it may eliminate all library positions, end quote. And quote, the district does not plan to offer the identical services certificated librarians perform per Dr. Glover's testimony, end quote. Dr. Glover's testimony in paragraph 19 was that, quote, he does not know who will teach digital literacy or who will select books for the libraries, end quote. While the supervision of students in the library will be the duty of teachers, the preparation of tasks, including the Williams report, will be the duty of principals and vice principals, and that, quote, principals and library media technicians can collect library fines, end quote. We will note the ridiculous list of ridiculousness of the statement that principals will be spending their time collecting library fines. By adopting this resolution, the board openly admits that it plans to eliminate library services. In particular, it will not be providing lessons in digital literacy, nor will it be curating the library collections during the 2021 school year. As implied by Dr. Glover's testimony, Judge Levy's proposed decision clearly states exactly what functions will still be provided: supervision of students while in the library, preparation of reports, and the collection of fines. No other functions are listed. If the district does provide other services, such as digital literacy or the selection of books for libraries, then that will make the removal of all librarians in this resolution a violation of Ed Code. Board members, are you ready to commit to publicly announcing that you are eliminating library services in the 2020-21 school year? If so, then when you vote for this resolution, I challenge you to say, quote, "I commit to eliminating library services for the Sweetwater Union High School District during the 2020-21 school year." If you can't make that statement, then you'd better vote no or resign your seat. If you pass this resolution while in your heart you know that the district will be supplying the full range of library services this year, then you are committing fraud and are violating your oath of office. You have been publicly notified of the legality of your actions. You can no longer claim ignorance in this matter. I also call on all members of the community, the school district, and all students to be on the lookout for violations of this commitment. Please report immediately to the County Office of Education, Judge Levy, and the State Department of Education if you find any site in this district offering lessons in digital literacy, choosing books for the various libraries, or any other library service that requires a librarian credential and not strictly listed in paragraph 37 of Judge Levy's proposed decision. Thank you. The next comments are from Gabriela Padilla. Good afternoon, Dr. Janney and board members. My name is Gabriela Padilla. I am the teacher librarian at San Ysidro High School. Board members, I am asking you to reconsider the resolution you are about to vote on. I ask that you please amend the resolution and reinstate teacher librarians. All teacher librarians across the district put students first. It is your time to do the same. You are leaving a legacy as a board. Let one of those legacies be that you save teacher librarians for all Sweetwater students. Stand up for what is right for our students. Thank you. The next comments are from Jay Lee. I am writing to express my concerns and frustration on the lack of transparency and communication from the district over their process to save the budget. In the agenda, it says this item supports LCAP Goal 4, coherent and transparent systems, because it supports systems in place that monitor appropriate staffing. How can this meeting show transparency when you are voting on a resolution that requires action in less than 2 days? Being transparent does not mean posting the resolution to the public last minute. Instead, it means providing space for people to participate in the decision-making process. When Dr. Janney proposed this resolution in February, the board members voted yes with the idea that they would be able to discuss this plan further and wanted to have the option of cutting these programs and teachers in the future. Yet since that meeting, there were no further discussions nor any alternative proposals for saving the budget without cutting over 200 teachers. If there were, they were not shared with the public. The board had months to make more of an effort to listen to the public and find other ways to save the budget, yet this was not done. Dr. Janney has not provided any other solutions and still has no plans for fixing the budget issue that will continue to exist even after terminating all these positions and programs. Not only are you harming the students by taking away their educational opportunities and experiences, you are also harming and disrespecting the teachers who have been putting years of service for this district. It is disheartening that teachers are being treated this way. The next comments are from Janice Gilmore C. My name is Janice Gilmore, and I hope I will still be the teacher librarian at Chula Vista High School after this meeting. Have you noticed how tenacious the librarians are? How they never give up? I'm sure you have. We are like that on the job too. We never give up on lifting up and supporting the students and the teachers and the counselors and the parents and the alumni and the administrators. We guard the assets. We provide equity of access all day long to every student. We co-teach and we coach. We make sure the library is open, safe, and welcoming. We provide the books the students want to read. We are literacy warriors. We make sure students have a place they want to come and work and read and print things out and finish their homework. We promote intellectual freedom. We answered every question submitted to us by students and parents when school went virtual, and we coached teachers throughout that process, and we provided professional development. Yes, the teacher librarians at Sweetwater School District are tenacious and strong. I've been so proud to stand alongside them. Please, board members, why are you here? You're here for the same reason that teacher librarians are here. We all want to put students first. That is our whole purpose. I believe you know that librarians are necessary to achieve our goals. Show that you understand that today. The next comments are from Jason Harney. Hello, board members and Dr. Janney. The last 2 years have been very stressful with the events of the financial situation within the district, especially so since many, myself included, received a reduction in force notice in March just before moving into stay-at-home orders and beginning to plan for distance learning. I have kept a close, nervous, and often hopeful eye on the events happening with board meetings and events of the RIF situation. As dates keep getting pushed further and further back because of the pandemic, that hope has diminished while the anxiety has risen. However, I still have hope. I have still had hope that you board members would see the light and realize that cutting teachers, librarians, counselors, and a myriad of programs that follow the district motto of putting students first would do the exact opposite. I have hope that you would see the light and realize the restructuring of the district office should become paramount over the loss of so many people who truly put our students first. Now, as the FCMAT report has been published to you all and the public to begin seeing the truth behind why our district is in the dire straits it is in, that you really do what is right for putting students first. While lowered enrollment, increased cost of special education, and increased expenditures for retirement programs have had an impact on the finances of the district, the truth is coming out. These historic systems, as Dr. Janney has espoused as one of the main reasons for our current situation, is anything but. Reading through the report, we see that it is the systems under her leadership and her district office employees, not people from 10 or 15 years ago, that have truly caused this massive problem. We see that her leadership, or lack thereof, is the reason we are here. It is her inability to truly lead a district, hold herself and the district office accountable, and her ability to practically outright lie to the board that has gotten us here. For Board Item C1, Resolution 4681, vote no and save this district. Save the teachers, save the librarians, save the learning centers. Hold the correct people accountable. We are looking to you, board members, for real leadership and to do the right thing. The next comments are from Julie Walker. Members of the Sweetwater Board, I am making my comments this afternoon in an attempt to clarify many misconceptions that seem to be held by members of the community and some of the board members. We went to the table in May to negotiate the impacts and effects of the PKS. We offered to reduce the year by 3 days to keep our librarians and learning centers. We got no response. We asked to extend health benefits for our members considering the COVID-19 crisis, and we got no response. During board meetings, some of you made comments about our association not taking furlough days and even suggested we take a pay cut in our last paycheck in order to fulfill your demands. But when we offer some real fiscal savings, you don't respond. Please consider the extensive list of positions you are proposing to cut this afternoon. There is a need for many of these positions, and eliminating them may save some money in the short run, but in the long run may have significant fiscal and educational consequences. Our librarians are responsible for millions of dollars of assets for the district, as well as making sure we are fulfilling our Williams Act requirements. Our learning centers have been a more intensive type of independent studies that have proven successful. The loss of this entire program will have effects on graduation rates across the district. In your budget book, your budget includes the teachers on special assignment for both the equity and culture and teaching and learning departments. You have these positions budgeted for, but you are not showing that the positions will be restored on the document you are voting on this afternoon. Why are these positions not eliminated from your PKS and the corresponding number of teachers removed from the layoff list? Where is the transparency? It is my hope that the board has a serious discussion about the issue and revises this list to reflect the actual needs of our students. Thank you. The next comments are from Cameron Dobbins. Here, Sweetwater Union, we claim to put students first, and for years, teachers have been calling for smaller class sizes so that we can do just that. In the wake of learning that we would be losing 220 valued members of our community, numerous students came to me in a mix of outrage and tears, fearing that teachers would inspire them would be coldly let go. We cannot deny that it is the students who will most feel the negative impacts of this decision. The situation that filled me with outrage before now fills me with dread as I consider how losing teachers and increasing class sizes will put our teachers, students, and communities in actual danger. A friend of mine asked with concern how I could possibly enforce social distancing to keep students safe with 25 students in a small room. I gave a nervous laugh as I told him that my average class size is typically 35 and that more than once I have had students volunteer to sit on the floor when new students were transferred to my class, only to find that I didn't have enough desks and would need to request another.
That's not a one.
Now more than ever, it is a time to come together and help each other. Our students, families, and teachers are scared. We fear unsafe conditions in our schools, but also loss of our livelihoods, both for the teachers at risk of being jobless, but for parents that depend on our schools to protect their children while they work. We need help from the 220 dedicated professionals that can help ease the burden as we try to navigate these unprecedented challenges, but from the board members who have the power to positively or negatively affect our schools and communities. This budget crisis was not caused by students or teachers, but that is who will be paying for it for years to come. Now, in light of recent evidence of fraud, you must hold those responsible accountable for their actions and do what is right for the hardworking members of this community. The next comments are from Katina Rondow. I've heard the mayor of Chula Vista speak out and plead for retaining teachers at a board meeting this year. Mayor Salas is just one mayor who is speaking up for students. However, our district is comprised of multiple cities. One city mayor I am shocked to not have spoken out for students is the mayor of National City. Trustee Arturo Solis is married to the mayor of National City. Trustee Solis, we have not heard from your wife, Alejandra Sotelo Solis, and her support for students. Does she agree with your votes? The community deserves to know if she stands for or against students. The next comments are from Kimberly Esparza. You are here to vote on a resolution that will impact our students and community for years to come. You are voting to eliminate positions to further cover up the fraud that has been found to have been committed in this district. To sum up and quote the Sweetwater AB 139 final report, quote, deficiencies noted in the report indicate that several parties violated their fiduciary duties, including the superintendent, chief financial officer, director of fiscal services, and the financial advisor, end quote. And quote, based on the findings in this report, there's sufficient evidence to demonstrate that fraud, misappropriation of funds and/or assets, and other illegal fiscal practices may have occurred in the specific areas reviewed, end quote. So in order to gain back the misappropriated $30 million, you are going to fire teachers. These are the people who work with and touch the lives of the students in this district. These are the people who are on the front lines and essential to the functioning of this district. When asked about taking a multiple year process to balance the budget, never once did the CFO say it could not be done. She voiced her opinion that she did not want to do it that way, but never said it could not be accomplished. So why was a multi-year process not demanded by the board? Why was it not researched and presented to the board as an option? Why? Because certain members of this board have shown themselves over and over again not ask questions, to not truly oversee the managing of this district. You were voted into office to watch over and guide this district. You all have the ability to demand the best for our students and to truly put students first. By voting for the elimination of teachers, librarians, and learning centers, you are complicit in the fraud that took place. You should be demanding plans for the district and not accepting the answers of "we don't know," which is all we hear these days. What will happen to our learning center students? We don't know. Who will manage the library? We don't know. Who will teach digital literacy and research skills? We don't know. How many students do you plan to pack into a classroom? We don't know. If you vote to eliminate these invaluable services and these invaluable teachers, you will be hurting all students, but especially our racial and ethnic minority students and socioeconomically challenged students who deserve every support possible to help them succeed socially, emotionally, and academically. If you vote for these cuts, do not ever say this is an underserved area, because it is not underserved. It is not being served. You are not serving this community when you are telling our students that they live in an area where they have to walk miles to go to a professionally staffed library. When you are telling our students who need help to look somewhere else. We don't have these programs and services right here.
Is now joining.
In conclusion, make no mistake that if you vote to eliminate jobs today, you are complicit in trying to cover up the fraud that has been found to have been committed in this district. The next comments are from Christina Lopez. Dear members of the board, each one of you were elected as a trustee of the governing board with the needs of the students of Sweetwater District in mind. Your position and power as governing board members is to best serve the needs of our students and always put them first. The Sweetwater District has a history of financial mismanagement woes, but never should students' needs be compromised due to this fraudulent activity from the superintendent and other district top management. We have a $30 million deficit due to salary increases, and if the math was done correctly, this should never have happened. But even worse, this blunder was covered up and concealed in the hopes that the financial books wouldn't show this glaring mistake of financial overspending on the district's part, as evidenced in the FICMAT extraordinary audit of the Sweetwater Union High School District report. Due to this $30 million deficit, the district's solution is to cut 210 innocent, hardworking teachers who spend every day of their time and effort putting students first. District-level top management staff are turning a blind eye to this because as long as their jobs are safe, they will not find other solutions. I cannot understand how a governing board acting in good faith would not use their powers and vote no on this resolution. Make Karen Janney go back to the drawing board to find another solution out of her fraudulent activity and financial cover-up mess. She will find one. There are other ways to make budget cuts. They were just never shared with you because her plan was to cut teachers the whole time and not come up with other creative solutions. You were fooled the first time in voting for the PKS resolution back in February. The superintendent at that time informed you that this vote was just in case it was necessary to eliminate certificated employees, but there would still be negotiations with the unions to save jobs or explore other solutions. That never happened when she got the power to turn this resolution into a reality. Dr. Janney has chosen to not explore other solutions, to not cut from the top, to not reduce the number of layoffs with a multi-year plan, and to not look at viable departmental budget cuts to save teachers' jobs. She is relying on you to vote for Reso 4681 today to solve the fraudulent budget issues that she helped create. This is not the time to vote ignorantly on a decision that will affect so many teachers' lives and their students. The time to act is now. Your voice matters in the lives of the students of Sweetwater. When the district asks you to vote to approve the budget and the resolution, which includes the RIFs and elimination of PKS, the entire teacher librarian profession, please remember the community that you serve and how they will be affected by the elimination of teacher librarians, counselors, classroom teachers, and the Learning Center. Ed Code 44949, Section 3, Subsection C states that the governing board shall make the final determination as to the sufficiency of the cause and disposition. None of the findings, recommendations, or determinations contained in the proposed decision prepared by the administrative law judge shall be binding on the governing board. Use your voice and the power that you as a board member has to reject this resolution as it stands to protect library services for the students of Sweetwater. Only you as a governing board have the power to do this for our students. Please act in good faith for our students and vote no on this resolution and reinstate the librarians in this district. The next comments are from Morgan Clark. I am writing to request that you do not approve the reduction in force today. I am also writing to set the record straight regarding the reasons for these layoffs. There has been a public narrative of stubbornness on both sides and refusal to compromise, which has led to these layoffs. Make no mistake, the only group who refuses to compromise here is the district. Throughout bargaining for the last year, the district has refused to bring accurate budget numbers to the table, expecting instead that SEA agree blindly to whatever cuts they proposed. SEA came to the table on November 15th, 2019, asking for details on the budget and how many jobs could be saved by taking furloughs. The district replied, quote, "It would be disingenuous to promise that there would be no RIFs in 2020-21, end quote, if furlough days were accepted by SEA. This exemplifies a pattern of behavior on the part of this board and superintendent. No one should be fooled by their empty accusations. These rifts are not caused by bickering or infighting between the union and the district. The district played games and ran out the clock until it was too late to agree to furloughs. They expected us to agree blindly to taking a pay cut and blamed us when we called their bluff. Board members, as I suspect you will not be maintaining your current positions for much longer, please refrain from further tarnishing your legacy. Vote no on this proposal. Vote no on cutting essential services for our students. Vote no on leaving 6.5% of our district's teachers without jobs and healthcare during a pandemic. Vote no on a proposal which is obviously another shameless attempt to punish SEA for not bending to the will of the district. Vote no on further traumatizing our new teachers during this already traumatic year." The next comments are from Scott Gamble. Good afternoon, President Tarantino, Superintendent Janney, Ms. Hall, Mr. Segura, Mr. Solis, and Mr. Pike. My name is Scott Gamble, and I am currently a fourth year at San Ysidro High School. I am a dual credentialed teacher, English and social sciences, with a master's degree in teaching and learning in a global society, who has taught English 9, all levels of ELD, and human geography. I highly encourage you to vote against the riffing teachers, counselors, and librarians. Throughout the RIF process, the district put forth the argument that all decisions are made by the district should put students first. Time and time again, students and parents have let us all know that through protests and walkouts, they are not being put first. Riffing teachers, counselors, and librarians that they trust is not putting students first. As you are well aware, many of our students come from disadvantaged backgrounds. Having counselors they know that have helped them with the emotional and mental complexities of the COVID epidemic is essential to supporting them. Having consistent, reliable educators that they trust is imperative to their well-being and is in the best interest of our students. My fellow colleagues and I that have received RIF notices provide that stability for them. My colleagues and I were also the ones to keep students engaged with their learning as well as informed about school district services and programs that help many of them connect to counseling service and food distribution programs when they needed it most. We also kept student morale high through very difficult circumstances. Taking away educators that our students trust, especially in such an uncertain time as now, would have a negative impact on the students. I highly encourage you to do what's best for students and vote against riffing teachers, counselors, and librarians. I truly appreciate your time. The next comments are from Stephanie Hubner. Dear board members, don't do it. Don't vote to adopt this resolution as it is. Amend it now while there is still a chance and make sure that this district is set up for success for the upcoming year. You know that you were all lied to about this budget. It's your time to make it right. Amend it now. Demand cuts from the top. We all know that it was the district and board that brought us to this financial crisis as revealed by the FCMAT report. Cuts should have been made from the top, not from the trenches. These fraudulent actions are now directly affecting students, and that's not right. Mr. Solis, use your voice to amend this resolution and make sure your students and communities have what they need. Ms. Hall and Mr. Segura, please continue to use your voice to make this right with an amendment. Mr. Pike and Mr. Tarantino, if you continue blindly following Dr. Janney and her poor decisions, you might just be sharing a jail cell with her. Research, be informed, and make good choices for the people of your community. Amend this resolution to reflect cuts from the top where they belong and put the librarians back into the libraries. Thank you. The next comments are from Tom Leet. Good evening, Superintendent, board members. I have done a lot of reading over the last 24 hours. The confluence of the FCMAT emergency report and the public posting of the judge's proposed decision regarding the PKS reduction in today's agenda is a little too coincidental to believe. The FCMAT report is pretty damning. It contains phrases like several parties violated their fiduciary duties, and omission and/or delay of accurate and timely financial data, and deliberate misrepresentation of the district's financial condition. For a year and a half, we've been asking you for a reckoning regarding who and how we got into this financial mess, and it has finally arrived. But will justice be done? Last year, the Culture and Equity Department made a presentation to this board about restorative justice practices. And during public comment at that meeting, I told you that you had done harm to your employees, the students, and the community, and I asked you how you were going to repair that harm. Today, we get the final answer. You're going to vote to perpetuate that harm by finally laying off over 200 people, not the people who ran the ship aground, but the people who have been working with their heads on the chopping block, waiting for the final blow for a year and a half. Yes, we've been upset. We can read the tea leaves. We've known this whole time that you were going to solve this mess by firing us. Who are these people? The complete list is at the end of the judge's proposed decision, Exhibit A in this resolution. People I know and like. People like Bibiana Jones, who is wonderful to talk with and was always helpful when I stopped by her counseling office. Matthew Beltrano, Matthew Beltrano, who has been on the verge of getting excess from my site for a couple years, but never complains and has stuck with us. Trevor Angood, who worked like mad to earn his library credential while learning on the job and has been an amazing pillar of support for our site. Kristen Areno, who responded to our students' high incident of stress and suicidal thoughts by transforming our school culture with her efforts in the counseling office. Big shout out to Kristen and our district counselor of the year. Todd Takahashi, the guy who moved from Hawaii in January 2019 to save our Japanese language program. Todd is so chill that even as you hand him his final layoff notice, he'll probably say mahalo. These are all excellent people, kind, caring, and conscientious. And I'll bet that everybody on that list is just the same. None of the people who are firing today are guilty of violating their fiduciary duties or omitting, delaying, or deliberately misrepresenting the district's financial condition. None of them, but they are the ones who are going to pay. I don't feel like the arc of this district is bending towards justice. Do you? The next comments are from Trevor Angood. Good afternoon. Longtime viewer, six-time speaker. One of the teaching strategies teachers use to support students is through scaffolding. Thus, a scaffold is in order to remind this board of their options with this resolution. As a board member, you have the right to amend any resolution brought forward for consideration. All it takes is to make a motion to amend the resolution as you see fit. For example, one might say, I move to amend the resolution to strike the removal of teacher librarians and reinstate their particular kinds of service, for which a second should follow, then discussion if any, and finally a vote in the affirmative. I have spoken in my last 5 times of all things that a teacher librarian provides to students, staff, administration, and the community. Throughout today, my professional Twitter account has been tweeting from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. every 4 minutes. The research backing teacher librarians and their role in school and student support and success. There is also a list of 83 things that students would be missing out without a teacher librarian, some of which includes a place to assemble with their friends openly, how to self-assess their work, books that are professionally selected to meet school and personal needs, adapting to new situations, how to search efficiently and effectively, responding to literature, reading contests and prizes, learning to be a good digital citizen, having resources available for school projects at the public library because the school librarian collaborated with them, cloud computing, a quiet place to learn, battle of the books, materials matched to their learning style, resources that align with the curriculum, assistance and guidance in completing homework assignments, a place to use their imaginations, accepting learning as a life skill, not just an academic necessity, learning experiences that are enhanced through teacher-librarian collaboration, digital literacy, quality control, a place to solve problems, a library website that offers access 24/7 to an online catalog, selected electronic resources, databases, and curriculum-related websites, a place where the school culture is fostered and thrives, special programs and speakers, synthesizing information from diverse perspectives, a place to display their work both physically and virtually, how to evaluate information, acquiring 21st century skills, having stories read to them, additional resources for their classrooms, instruction on how to use statewide databases, equitable access to computers and other forms of technology, time during homeroom, during lunch, during the school day, and after school to work on projects when they have no other access to computers, celebrating reading, creating book trailers, citing sources correctly, a place to study without grades, a knowledgeable, interested adult with whom to discuss books, a place to solve problems, recommending books to their friends, learning the implications of a digital footprint, the ability to construct and defend arguments, a place to practice safe and ethical behaviors, a conduit for information to increase efficiency in the entire building, a connection between the outside world and the classroom, a smile of genuine pleasure for coming through the door, confidentiality. Thank you. There are no further comments.
Okay, if there are no further comments, then we will move to item C1, which is to adopt resolution 4681 in the matter of implementing reduction or discontinuation of particular kinds of service as to employees who received a notice of layoff and to provide direction to issue notifications to employees whose services are terminated. Is there any discussion? And I can't see. So
Yeah.
Sure.
I can
I have a question.
Tarantino, can you hear me? President Tarantino?
Maybe I'm connecting now. Let's see. Nope, not yet. Go ahead. Mr. Segura, do you want to take over? Because I can't see. I'm all my
Sure.
all my technology is not working right now. So I don't know what happened. Go ahead, sir.
I understand. Sorry for that. Those problems, issues. So, did anybody have any comments or motions?
Mr. Segura, may I say something, please?
Yes, Dr. Kennedy.
Thank you. So, like I said back in February, one of the most difficult decisions that a superintendent or board can make, we made on February 24th. And that resolution, everybody knows, was a particular kind of service. And as a result, over 200 certificated staff were noticed by March 15th. They may be laid off by the end of the school year. We all also know that process alone was traumatic. It was traumatic for the administrators who had to deliver the notices, and it was by far most traumatic for the staff who received them. And let's not forget that it was also traumatic for their family members. I just want to remind people, why did we take that resolution forward? And the main reason remains the same, because of the significant decline in enrollment that we are experiencing over the past 3 or 4 years and continuing into next year. And as a result, the district for the current year and next year will receive less revenue, since funding is dependent upon that enrollment in ADA. I was going to show a chart, but I'm not going to bother showing the chart because we can share that at another time. But because of that reduced revenue, there is a need to reduce personnel, since 87% of our budget is in personnel. But please know also this, that the reduction in staff does not mean that we are ignoring contract language around teacher or counselor caps. And if enrollment numbers come in higher than expected, then we would be asking staff to return in order to meet those teacher and counselor ratios. And as you can read in today's analysis of the agenda item on Resolution 4861, a lot of other events happened outside of our control that impacted this process. This is not the ideal time to be sharing this information, that's for sure. One of the most significant events that happened is the COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 now has added traditional trauma to everyone, even on top of the layoff notices. COVID-19 also turned finances upside down, creating even further uncertainty. Lastly, COVID-19 and the close of school buildings on March 12th delayed the hearings that were originally scheduled for April 14th to May 27th. And that postponement of the hearings delayed the final resolution of the PKS. And because we all know that Ed Code requires the final notification to be certificated staff by May 14th, but that didn't happen because of postponement of the hearings. And so Ed Code's continuance states that the new date is June 26th. And so here we are. The PKS is now considered a reduction in force. And this, again, is really a difficult decision and a difficult recommendation because it impacts staff who we care about. People have talked about that. Staff we walk into our district, staff to whom we entrusted the teaching and support of our students. These staff are someone's brother or sister, mom or dad, daughter or son. It hits very close to home to many of us in Sweetwater, myself included. We are saddened and disappointed at having to make this recommendation. We acknowledge that even losing one staff member impacts students and other staff because of the relationships that we have, these staff have established with students and other staff. There's no positive way to make this recommendation. But here we are. And we will continue to, as a governance team, to make and know that every decision we make, every policy we enact, every agenda item we pass has real consequences for every stakeholder. That means students, that means parents, staff, and members of our collective community. As a district, we continue to believe that finding solutions to these problems is far more productive and the outcome is more positive when we can sit down with our labor partners and collaborate. And we have, and we will continue to approach that conversation at the bargaining table with openness and an interest in problem solving. At this time, I would like to pass it on to Dr. Glover, who would like to also make a few comments.
Thank you, Dr. Channing. Thank you, Vice President Segura, members of the board. It is not a day with joy today. As the person over the last 4 years who attended the recruiting fairs, who handed out applications, who visited our local universities and their teacher education programs, who sat through many mock interviews to prepare people to join our field, our career, it is a sad day. But nonetheless, our circumstances put in the position to where the PKS moves forward, and in our final step, it's a board decision to be made. And you made one decision on May 11th for the non-respondents, which initiated a reduction in FTE. And today, a final decision by adopting the proposed decision would have us have a reduction of 209.13 FTEs. Of course, as resources become available, we'll follow all Ed Code languages regarding return of staff by seniority and credentialing, in addition to providing substitute priority service opportunities. But there's no joy in the move that we have to make today, but the recommendation is to adopt the decision in full. And as resources and ideally enrollment moves up, calling back staff to help provide services.
Thank you, Dr. Glover. Any board members want to chime in right now?
Sure. Vice President Segura. All right, so I just wanted to state that contrary to what's said, this is not easy, and it's not a decision that we make just without, so we're fresh. Every single person is important and is valuable to our district. Unfortunately, we're in the situation that we're in. We can't go back and take back that 3.75. I mean, it's just, we can't take it back. This is where we are. And we've been told that, 86% of our budget is personnel. We're losing enrollment. We need to cut back. It's not easy. Teaching for 17 years, and I received 3 pink slips my first 4 years of teaching. And it wasn't easy, and I know it's not easy for those that have received a pink slip. I don't know, no matter what I say, people are not going to be.
Frank Tarantino
Is now exiting.
It's not an easy decision, if that makes any difference. It's not. I used to go to the library in the mornings during lunch. I know how important librarians are. I think one thing that I've been mulling over, is I think the first thing that we do, one thing straighten out these librarians, we get them back. It's the first thing that's where I'm at. And I think with regards to maybe with the possibility of creating a district librarian to hold us over, it'd be, I don't know if we can ask staff to get us a job description of something that could possibly create a district librarian to keep us going. Maybe we can save one of the librarians that we currently have. I don't know how the board feels about that, but I think we can maybe squeeze that in. It's a tough decision that we're in, and I know the board doesn't take it lightly, and if we don't take action, the county will. I'm sure if we don't do this, Mr. Scavarno will stay and rescind this and make us vote on this again. And if we don't, they'll take that power from us, and the state will do it. Or the county will do it. And it won't be as open and they'll just do what they have to do to make the budget where it needs to be. And I think as we're going, it's not right for some, and it's not going to seem appropriate. But I think it's something that we're going to do to make things right again. And again, I don't think the county will stand for it if we don't. And you know, we're still under a fiscal advisor, and he'll have a right to do that. And I think we need to make that decision, and we need to do it. And as soon as things get better, we get back on track and do things right for our students, because that's what we're all about. It's about our students. And I didn't hesitate to give our teachers that 3.75 or all this 3.75, because I know they deserve it. And we have great teachers, great staff. I know we do. Great administrators. We have it. That's what Sweetwater is. But we're in this position, unfortunately, that we need to make these decisions, and it's not easy. But people saying that we don't care about education is, maybe the people have a right to say what they like. That's fine. But to me, that's not true. Just from my heart. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tarantino. Are you back online?
Can you hear me, Mr. Segura?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I see you, but you're the whole screen. I don't see everybody else. I don't know how to. No, that's okay. You look good. You absolutely look good. So I can't see anybody else or to see who's, but I see myself in the corner. So you go ahead. Continue, sir.
Okay. So I don't know if somebody else wanted to chime in. I wanted to.
I did.
Okay,
Vice President.
Mr. Pike, can I just ask a question to the
Yes.
on the nuts and bolts of if we were to try to modify this, how that would work? So and just kind of how that would work if there was a motion and it was voted and approved to modify this PKS as the resolution as it stands. How would it work in terms of bringing it back and that sort of thing? Would that be, who would answer that question? I don't know.
So I don't know. That's either going to be Dr. Glover or Jenny Carbuccia. Which of you can answer that question?
Well, I would like to.
Tom, you go.
I would just like to speak to, there was a comment from member Solis about a district librarian. That's not one of the levels of services that are being reduced right now. We could investigate the creation of a position like that, but that would not be a level of service that's being reduced currently inside of the recommendation for the adoption of the process. And then I'll hand it off to the general counsel.
Sure. So thank you for the question, Mr. Segura. So if you were, just like any other motion, you have the ability, as was stated in public comment, to modify the resolution. If you're looking to modify anything on the particular kinds of service list, you would have the ability to do that by making a motion as stated to modify or strike one of those particular kinds of service. You also instead, because by doing that, there are some issues about that Exhibit A, and I don't believe staff at the moment would have the ability, without knowing a lot of knowing how Exhibit A would change. So you could adopt the resolution and direct staff to bring back, two of a certain position. That is what we do after the fact when we either enrollment changes, a budget decision is made, a motion was made. So the cleanest way to ensure that we have the ability to walk through and actually move through the layoffs in the timely process that's required would be to adopt the motion as it is and do a supplemental asking staff to bring something back at a follow-up meeting. But if you wanted to modify that resolution, all you would need to do is say, modify resolution to remove or to modify X PKS and have staff make the appropriate adjustments to Exhibit A or B.
Thank you for that information. Did any other board member want to weigh in on this?
No, Nick, I'm glad you asked that question. That was one of the questions that I had. I didn't have it as specific as you, but that was one of the questions that I had. And so when she's talking about the supplemental, does that mean that the vote goes through and then the supplemental is what, letting us have the ability to change some of it? I don't quite understand what the difference is between amend the resolution and the supplemental.
So Jennifer, did you want to weigh in on that again? You're muted.
You've provided notice to the public that you are considering taking action to reduce a certain number of particular kinds of service. Those particular kinds of service are well described in the resolution. The board and the community would know that you have the ability somewhere in that realm to do all the way up to or less than. So you would have, as I said, two options. You could directly modify the resolution itself, or you could make a motion to adopt the resolution and for staff to, as I'll use Mr. Solis's example, adopt a job description for a district librarian and bring that back for voting on. Something like that. That's what I mean by an additional piece of that motion. Based on what we've provided thus far, you've given enough description to the community that they would know that you would be taking up to that 209.13 individuals. You just could not go more than that. You couldn't change the number to increase it.
Thank you. Mr. Tarantino, are you back?
I am. Thank you, Mr. Segura. I have a question.
So why don't you just take over the meeting? Like, you're the president and you're back online. That's right.
Well, I see when I can't see a split of everything. So
Okay.
See what I'm saying? Well, I guess if someone wanted their hand on the side, if someone raised their hand, and if that's okay with you, but I could do that, or you can continue.
Okay, I'll continue because you can't see.
I can only see the person that's talking, and I don't know why that is, but anyway. Okay, we adopted a budget that was based on information that was incomplete. And my understanding is that the governor and the Senate and the assembly leaders have come to an agreement. The last that I read in the news were no details, just the fact that they came to an agreement. And so we will find out more about what's going to be coming in the budget probably on the 30th, the deadline from which the governor has to sign it. And based on all of the presentations that Dr. Salkeld has made, we have 45 days after that budget is released to make adjustments. Is that correct? Or is that not correct? And if it is correct, then could we at that time entertain some of the ideas that have come forward either from Mr. Solis or members of the public?
So let's have Dr. Salkeld respond to that 45-day question, and what happens if if there's an adjustment or modification of what the financial impacts are. Dr. Salkeld?
Thank you, Dr. Janney and President Tarantino, to address your question. Yes, we would need to come back by mid-August, so our August 10th board meeting. We would be reflecting what the final approved governor's budget entails.
I didn't catch that after that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So to address the question, yes, we would come back on the August 10th board meeting to reflect any changes that are in the final governor's budget. So if he releases it and completes it by the June 30th date, we will then analyze that information, update revenues, update, any of those factors, and then bring that to the board and see what the overall impact is to the net financial bottom line. If there are additional costs that are added or any changes here, that would need to be incorporated as well. But we'll know what the governor's budget will be within the 45 days. When we come back to the board.
Dr. Salkeld, did you answer the question though about Mr. Tarantino was saying, he was asking about the 45-day, but were you asking that question in relationship to the layoff notices and the amount in the budget for the layoff notices? Because the budget, the original pre-COVID budget, has all of these in the budget. The new governor's budget, or the new budget that the governor's going to agree to, that was after the fact. That was not before. So I think just need some explanation, Jenny, about, or Dr. Salkeld, about how that impacts this decision.
Yes.
Right. So prior to the governor's May revision budget, we had factored a lot of these solutions, including this PKS. Those have already been built into the adopted budget that we brought to the board on Monday. Now, what's transpired since then with the governor's budget, that would require more solutions if that were to remain as is. But what we already have done all of our work prior to that, it does reflect these solutions. So any change in that will be an added cost to the financial.
Thank you for that clarification, Dr. Feld. I'm sorry I didn't make myself clear.
I think Mrs. Hall had her hand up. Mr. Segura.
Yes. I just wanted to ask, the two management positions, were they filled at the end of the year that are listed on the PKS?
No, they
They
were
were
not.
vacant.
And they're not being filled. They are eliminated. Those two positions are eliminated.
Well, they're eliminated once we vote on this, right?
Any more discussion? So I'll just weigh in on where I'm at and where I've been consistently at. I'm not against the layoffs because I understand that we have a $30 million plus budget deficit, and what I'm against is that we did not cut from the top, which to me would have shown true and good leadership. The top, I mean the district office. I mean, and cuts from the top are the furthest from the classroom. And I hear that from many people, and I think we all realize that. I think it's great to have a team in place and do everything that we want to do, but when we're facing this financial crisis, that we need to show real leadership and cut from the top. And also, I don't agree with the process, and I think there was a lack of transparency on the elimination of teachers' learning centers and teacher librarians. We just had that one meeting on February 24th, where the PKS meeting, and there was no plan and no discussion on how we were going to serve the students who were then utilizing the learning centers and the librarians. That's what really gets at me. And so therefore I cannot support this resolution.
So Vice President Segura, do you have any other suggestions, amendments, or what are you?
I mean, I can make a motion. I would make a motion to direct staff to incorporate back some teacher librarians into the budget and figure out how we're going to reduce district office personnel. I don't know, there's a lot there. So that's the only thing I could suggest. And I'm not sure how that would work with, in terms, I mean, I'd have to have, you know, that's my thought. It just shows that we are actually cutting from the top. And like I said, I'm not just trying to grandstand, you know, here, not you know, speaking against this resolution. It just, you know, to me, is just the fundamental of not cutting from the top. Just really, just as you know, I just can't get over that.
So I know Mr. Solis had his hand up. Mr. Solis.
Mr. Solis, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think I would like to see more librarians, but where we're at, I don't think it's possible at this point. I would like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 4681 and asking for staff to bring us a job description for a potential district librarian for our next meeting.
Mr. Segura, was your comments, was that an official motion?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so we need to consider that motion first before an additional motion can be made.
So I didn't hear a second. So that's where it's at.
Well, I think there was just discussion. I didn't know you were actually making a motion. I thought you were just explaining yourself. So
no,
what
I did make a motion. So it was to work out a budget where we could bring some of the teacher librarians back and reduce district office staff. So that was my motion, and bring it back to the board.
So this is Ms. Carbuccia again. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. You gotta correct me.
The motion as you've made it is inconsistent with what we've posted on the agenda. I think if you were going to make a motion, the motion could modify, it could adopt the resolution contingent on, adopt the resolution. It could modify the number of librarians that are being cut. It could have a separate motion for staff to bring information back on management cuts, but to have something that doesn't relate directly to the PKS would probably be a difficult motion. So I'm not going to phrase it for you, but it has to tie directly to. So, for example, as someone said in public comment, I want to amend the resolution to add, to minimize 2 librarians, or however you want to be, or if you want to not, you would adopt the motion and you could say, and I direct staff to bring back a plan where we can have a small number of librarians balanced out by cutting district office. So that could be a way to phrase it, but it has to relate directly to the PKS resolution that is on the agenda.
Thank you. And that's why
I have a question on that respect, just so we can clarify this before that motion really is solidified and resubmitted. Because if you direct staff at this point to reduce central office, in light of the governor and legislators' bill that appears to have trailer language on it, that you can't cut positions or you can't lay off people, that really makes it a moot point, doesn't it? Does that apply to management? We don't know yet, do we? Do we have that information in the language that was agreed upon in their budget agreement yet, to know what that language is? Ms.
I haven't seen it. Mr. Tarantino?
Well,
Did you say?
I think AB 77 is what I'm understanding. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Just point of order. We're still waiting for a second. I don't think we received a second. So I don't know if because of a lack of a second it dies.
Correct.
So that's so let's move on from there.
Second, I'd like to make the motion with requesting staff to bring us back a job description for a district librarian for our next meeting.
With the adoption of Reso 4681.
Yes.
There was a motion. Is there a second? So I hear no second. So I believe that dies.
Correct.
Okay, Mr. Vice President, I will move to adopt resolution number 681 in the matter of implementing reduction or discontinuation of kinds of service as to employees who received a notice of provide direction to issue notifications to employees whose services are terminated.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Motion moved and seconded. Any more comment?
Yeah, I'd like to vote for that with that specification in there that we could put in additional librarians if possible. I don't understand what Ms. Hall is saying is the fact that there's going to be no layoffs. What is that? So we're making a motion to lay people off and that there's not going to be any layoffs? I'm losing.
Well, from what I understand, there's a trailer bill that's going to be coming after the budget that's going to say that we cannot reduce staff, I believe it's teachers for sure, in between now and I guess in August is like a summer cut. Maybe Jenny, you could explain that better than myself.
Sure. So what is currently in the language, we haven't had it finalized or signed by the governor or the legislature, is that that starting July 1st, so it does not impact this layoff, starting July 1st, no certificated teacher teacher layoffs may occur in the August timeframe, which would have been allowed by statute because the COLA is scheduled at 0%. Similarly for the year, so from July 1st to June 30, no classified non-management employees employed in the transportation, custodial, or nutrition services arenas could be laid off. It does not address, at least it didn't as of the read that we did of it last night, include any reference to restricting certificated or classified management. However, again, it is not an adopted budget and therefore it is speculation to discuss it.
Thank you.
To use it as what's going to pass.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jenny. Yeah, I'm still I'm willing to vote for it with an amendment that we need to see what we can do as far as revisiting the budget, looking around and trying to come up with some ways that we can get some more librarians in there. And I feel that Mr. Solis's comments were correct, that he did go into the library, and I think it's important. I know we don't have the money, but maybe we can get some sort of thing where one visits 3 schools or something. I don't know, but that's how I feel.
So, Deanne, can you tell me where we're at with the motions?
So there's a motion and second on the table to adopt resolution 4681 as presented by staff. Unless the maker of that motion would like to amend the motion, that's the motion and second on the table that needs to be voted on by the board.
So right now, Mr. Pike,
the maker of the motion was Mr. Tarantino, and it was seconded by Mr. Solis to adopt item C1 as presented by staff.
Given what Dr. Sockholt said, that we have this factored into our budget, and given the fact that we have a $30 million deficit, even with these reductions, I won't consider Mr. Pike's amendment as a friendly amendment.
Thank you.
So then we're just voting on the Mr. Tarantino's motion as is, as the PKS is written, and is seconded by Mr. Solis.
Correct.
So I just call for the vote.
Hall? You're muted, Mrs. Hall.
You must be controlling it. Okay. So I can't support this whole, I understand that we have a need to make cuts. I've been noting that for quite a long time. But from all the public comments, all my public contacts from people, the people that live in my area that I represent, but not just my area, other across the district, I have to vote my conscience in support of what they're expressing and vote no on this resolution.
Solis?
Yes.
Pike?
No.
Segura?
No.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion fails. 3 noes, 2 yeses.
So now we have
So
to.
someone is free to make a different
Another
motion to take the resolution with amendments or whatever would be the pleasure of the board.
So maybe Kevin should make a different motion.
Would somebody
I
like
would
to?
state
Go
in
ahead.
what I feel. I think that I agree with Mr. Tarantino with the fact that I know we are in desperate need, but I still think we can go back and figure out some way we can get some more people involved, the librarians or whatever. And I don't know the correct language to make it be.
So would you like to submit that
Resolu-
we only cut a third of the librarian FTE or half of the librarian FTE in your motion to adopt the resolution?
I would say a third. I'll go with that, or we'll keep a third. That way we can keep maybe one for each school or something. I don't know. We need to make some sort of compromise so that we can't just cut them across the board. That we need to let some of them. And I know from experience that some of those librarians can be run, by the techs, but like they said, they do need those persons in there. Maybe they can rotate and get in, that's my amendment. Yeah.
So General Counsel, did you want to weigh in on that?
So, Mr. Pike, are you stating that you would like to approve, you would like to modify there's 2 ways, because you said it the first time one way and the second a second. There are 2 ways to do this. One would be to move to modify the PKS and change it from 23 to 18, which is roughly a third librarians, and to direct staff to modify Exhibit A, Appendix A. That's one. The second would be to approve the resolution as it is, and within the 45-day window of the budget presentation, so i.e. at the July 27th board meeting, bring back a plan for the board to consider to restore a number of librarians at that meeting, and then that would give Dr. Glover the ability to call people back from the layoff list. So was it the first or the second, or what is your intent
The
with
second
that motion?
sounded better for me. The second one you just said sounded better. That's what I'll do. That's what
your intent was? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't understand, so I wanted to make sure.
That's okay. I don't understand how to make this specific, so thank you for telling me that.
Deanne, are we clear on what his motion is?
So the motion that you're making, Mr. Pike, is to adopt resolution 4681 as presented by staff, with the direction that at the July 27th board meeting, staff bring a plan to the board of how to possibly restore a number of librarians to the district.
Yes, but I don't know if the number has to be specific. She said 1/3, or she was making some, so I don't know. Does that
Well,
have to?
That was a different motion. So if you're going to make a motion to
Okay.
modify the resolution to cut the number of librarians stated on the resolution, that's different than
No,
accepting
no.
the resolution as is and bringing back a plan in July.
Yes. That's the motion I want to make.
So if you're making that motion, the resolution would be adopted as presented with the numbers as presented. And a plan would be brought back at the July 27th meeting to possibly restore a number of librarians.
Yes.
Okay,
I'll second.
so that's the motion, and there's a second by Mr. Solis.
Any more discussion? Call for the vote.
Dr. Jenny?
Dr. Jenny?
I
Sorry.
kind of want to help everybody understand what that would mean financially. So Dr. Salkeld, just a reminder, what the amount is for the librarians. So,
Are we done with discussion yet?
No, we're still in discussion.
Okay.
So Dr. Salkeld, what was on it was on the PKS or the list, and what was that amount for all the librarians?
The librarians over, it's almost between $2 to $3 million with benefit costs as well, statutories. That's all listed on all of the positions on the PKS.
So to bring back the 2 to 3 million,
But didn't
is the
his,
cost to bring back all the librarians. Is that what you just said?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead, Paula, Trustee Paul.
right, so the motion that Kevin made doesn't specify a number for the plan to bring back in 45 days. So there's a lot of room there.
Yes.
And we can learn about the costs at that point and make a better decision based on the adopted budget of the state budget and what we know we will get. A lot of the variables are still there in the budget that's coming down the road, because I don't believe they're going to give us a COLA. So that is a big dip, but it may be offset by some of the other things that they are putting into the budget. So really, we may have enough room to restore some of that FTE. That's where we're at right now. Kevin's motion was not in specific FTE, but to bring back a plan to restore some positions.
Yes. That's it.
So that's
If
what we're
possible.
voting on,
If possible.
right?
Yep. I heard that possible word in there, so.
Any
So
more
I don't want to
discussion?
get off into the discussion of how much it's going to cost and all that yet, because that will come. That's my feeling about it.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. All right, let's go for the vote.
Paul?
I still vote no. It's not, the cuts aren't being made in the right way, is my opinion. So thank you.
Solis?
Yes.
Ike?
Yes.
Segura?
No.
Tarantino?
No.
Motion fails. 3 no, 2 yes.
Okay. I can make another motion. It's going to fail. We covered 4 in a row, but
What happens if we delay this?
So statutorily, that would be problematic for us. We have to deliver notices to those impacted employees no later on or before the 27th. So no later than the 26th. So we have to make some decision tonight, or none of the layoff notices could happen. Shy of you scheduling a special meeting tomorrow, but staff needs to mail those notices out, and we're really about as a crunch time as we can be.
And you need 24 hours to post a meeting for tomorrow.
So basically what that says is we're stuck with what we have.
Well, there's always Friday. Just kidding. So,
So if I could just add, if the intent here is not to keep people laid off, if either funds, and if the enrollment increases, like we said, like Dr. Glover said, if enrollment increases, we can hire back more staff. We could do that at the direction of the board, and you can give us your highest priority. That's, and we can take direction in that way. Really, nobody wants to lay anybody off if we can help it. We just can't help it right now. So we can still do that.
Yes, Dr. Janney, with board direction, priority could be placed on return of librarians as resources are available. As Ms. Hall mentioned, we really don't know what's coming out yet. Let's see what resources will be available.
Yeah, I would like to make that as a motion. Go back to the original staff recommendation, and then as we find out more information, we bring back what we can.
I'll second that.
This is motion and second. Any more discussion?
so
Call for the vote.
it looked like Mr. Tarantino was shaking his head. Is he not
Mr.
happy
King,
with?
Did you have it?
No, I'm okay with that. As I understand the motion is to adopt the resolution as presented, and as enrollment and resources present them, and we're in a position to bring back staff, then librarians would be our priority. Is that Mr. Solis, is that your intent?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
So just to be clear, so that's really the same as doing nothing. It's just pretty much just doing what is there now. So if this PKS passes, that was going to happen anyways. Am I incorrect?
That was correct.
So it's really doing nothing but agreeing to the PKS. So there's a motion and a second. So we'll go for the vote.
The difference though, Mr. Segura, is that you're giving us a priority of who to come back first, right? Who the priority is.
That's not the motion.
Yeah, the motion is just to go as is.
Yes.
No. Yeah, with the recommendation.
Direction to staff.
Yeah, with the direction
To
to staff.
bring back a plan, which I would say is a plan to say, okay, we just got increased enrollment. We need to increase teachers in the classroom. That might be the priority at that point in time. So just so we're clear.
No, I think Mr. Solis was saying if resources were to become available to reinstate, librarians would be the first to be reinstated.
That's what he said. That's what I.
Correct?
That's
Yes.
correct.
That's the motion.
That's what I seconded. Yeah.
And that was seconded. So let's go to the vote.
Hall,
This is a statement more against the process of how these cuts are hitting the classroom more than it is about not recognize. I do recognize we need to make cuts, but my vote is still going to remain no.
Solis,
Yes.
Pike,
Yes.
Segura,
No.
Tarantino. Mr. Tarantino?
Yes.
Thank you.
Aye.
Motion passes 3 yes, 2 no.
What's next?
Item C2.
Am I supposed to read
Jenny
something?
for-
Oh, I'm sorry. I could read it. I could read it, Mr. Segura.
Please,
I
thank you.
have the script. I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay. Next item is item C2, which is to approve the salary placement of management positions.
Mr. Tarantino, item C2, as part of our looking for efficiencies and budgets, realigns the program manager positions in alignment with our assistant principal work calendar of 205 days with 3 furlough days included. So our recommendation is to place the program managers now on a 205-day work calendar.
Do you have any discussion on that from the board? Questions?
Move to approve.
So, Dr. Glover, that
One second.
salary placement of manager positions means that they're going to be limiting their days. They had more days before.
Correct. That's a reduction in their work calendar in alignment with being able to support the sites.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
also as a way to cut down at the district office. Right? Those are district office positions that's one of the ways that we've cut at the district office by cutting back the work year calendar.
Okay. Thank you.
Was there a motion?
Yeah, I make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Ready for the vote?
Hall,
Yes.
Solis,
Yes.
Pike,
Yes.
Segura,
Yes.
Tarantino.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, the special board meeting is now adjourned.